What's going on, everybody? EnteRChazmaN here. Now, I know it has been a minute on the channel since we've talked about some OG Dragon Ball, so guess what? Why don't we go ahead and correct that? Last time we were here, we talked about the movie Curse of the Blood Rubies, so happily, I'm excited to admit that I recently got to rewatch the movie Sleeping Princess in Devil's Castle, which is the second feature film release in Akira Toriyama's Dragon Ball world that he was kind of creating. Released in Japan on July 18th, I think, of 1987, Sleeping Princess in Devil's Castle, very similarly to Curse of the Blood Rubies, acts as an alternate telling, I guess, of certain events within the Dragon Ball. This time, instead of it covering the Emperor Pilaf saga, it kind of moves into some of the events within Dragon Ball's Tournament saga. And what I mean by that is that how Curse of the Blood Rubies introduces characters like Bulma, Yamcha, Master Roshi, and all of that, and covers kind of their meeting and how they deal with Emperor Pilaf. Sleeping Princess in Devil's Castle doesn't introduce quite as many new characters, but introduces important characters such as Krillin, Launch, and I think that's about it from what I can remember. But Krillin, he's a huge character in the lore, so it's still pretty fun, and it at least covers some of the introduction between Krillin, Master Roshi, Goku, and I guess in a way almost replaces many of the training montage type sections, and this adventure acts as the training replacement itself. So as we begin here with Movie 2 versus Movie 1, you definitely begin to see some patterns in terms of the creative process, in terms of what they were going with, or at least Toriyama and his other leads with what they were going. This being an alternate kind of telling of some of the events within sagas 1 and 2 of Dragon Ball. I guess kind of immediately as we get into some of my thoughts, I fairly enjoyed this one. I would definitely say I enjoyed this film a little bit more than one, although it's hard to say that, again, I don't want to totally reiterate on points I made in the first Curse of the Blood Rubies video, because this is going to be a lot of my same type of thoughts. It's hard to say that I enjoy that. I would consider this a replacement. Approaching it from that same perspective, I would say this is a fun Elseworld take where it's kind of just interesting to see what they were going for, and I would wholly recommend just rewatching the Tournament Saga versus watching this. But it definitely is a little bit more entertaining. I feel like some of the fighting in this one versus Curse of the Blood Rubies is at least more entertaining. There's a bit more humor here that I think that I at least got a few chuckles out of it from me. I guess kind of just touching on some of the main plot points. I got it right here. It says, I kind of made up my own little stuff here, but Sleeping Princess Castle, have the same thing. It's an alternate telling of within Dragon Ball. Some of the plot is that it's there's essentially an alternate underworld region called the Devil's Hand, which they kind of do show, which is kind of neat. So as Krillin and Goku meet up and they begin to take training under Master Roshi, very similar to the TV show, Master Roshi sends them on a quest, or I think actually in the original show he just sends Goku, but he sends somebody like Goku and Krillin on a quest to bring him back a girlfriend. And if you remember, I think in the TV show Goku ends up bringing back a large woman, and then a mermaid, I think, is one of them. See, now that I'm thinking about it... Oh, sorry, I said that loudly. Now that I'm thinking about it, that's way more funny and entertaining than what we kind of get here. So Master Roshi essentially is the purpose for the movie. By sending them out on their quest, he has them go find the Sleeping Beauty in Princess Castle. Why does Master Roshi want the Sleeping Beauty? He's Master Roshi. I'm sure you can imagine why. So yeah, he's kind of the integral kind of purpose as to why this movie happens in the first place. There's a point in the movie where Roshi tells of a Count Lucifer being responsible for ensnaring this sleeping princess, and that's it. So rather than that big long montage training section we get within Dragon Ball, which I much prefer that versus what we get here, they kind of do, now that I think about it, you kind of do get a bit of a training montage on their way to the Devil's Hand region of the area. Yeah, to me, I would say that section isn't a great replacement for the original. It's still much better back there. Still fairly entertaining here, but at least you get to still see the kind of slow camaraderie build between Goku and Krillin. You still see Krillin at first be like a douchebag, like he was in the TV show. He kind of understands Master Roshi and what Roshi's wants and needs are. And he also kind of screws over Goku plenty, which I always enjoyed the early sections with Krillin. He's great. Now, as everyone does begin to make their way towards the castle, there are some fun and interesting events that happen here. One thing I always love from Toriyama and his early works, and just his works in general, is a lot of the monster designs and just characters he creates are just always so fascinating. He always did a great job of... I was so sad talking about him in the past tense. But it was always great, man. He always did such a great job of just creating characters and different variety of monsters. Love the character design for, Count Lucifer and Gastel and all the other monsters that come and attack them. But yeah, at one point everyone gets captured, and some of the hilarity between Bulma and this Count Lucifer and his Igor character, great. Super fun, super entertaining. At a point, it also turns out that this sleeping princess ends up not being a person. It ends up being a jewel that, like a really expensive, worthwhile jewel, which is the reason that Launch shows up in the movie in the first place, because she's after this jewel. So her introduction's a little different. But yeah, this jewel ends up being the purpose, and the whole purpose is that Count Lucifer wants to use the jewel, and essentially create an eternal darkness on the earth, so that all of his demons, pals, and himself can walk on the surface and kind of rule, I guess, is the plot here. It's actually pretty interesting because there's a fight towards the latter end with Goku and Lucifer, and I think he ends up turning out to be quite the formidable opponent for Goku. I remember he uses like a red blast, which is kind of fun, and yeah, again, funny. He's actually a super tough opponent, although I bet you Goku could have beaten him, but still. Towards the latter end, as you might expect, Goku is able to defeat the Count and his giant diamond gun that he was going to use to destroy the sun. In a really cool, entertaining kind of ending. It's a little bit anticlimactic, but to be honest, I've noticed with this one and Curse of the Blood Rubies, it's really not about the destination, as you might say. It's about the journey, and the journey here is definitely the more entertaining process. I feel like all the best stuff kind of is before they reach the sleeping castle, or castle in general. But yeah, I will say, I know I've been kind of quick with this one, but overall, a fun movie. I would definitely give this one a score, if I were to score it, slightly above Curse of the Blood Rubies. This one's a little bit better. I enjoyed it. It's entertaining. Now, as I'm kind of rounding out my thoughts on this one, I did want to at least mention one more thing that was a big, I don't want to say, it's been a talking point not only with, something I was thinking about, but I guess over time with some hardcore fans of the original Dragon Ball and some of the other works. And it's something I immediately noticed when I was watching it, but we're going to get into, you might guess it, voice acting. So, some characters, now you gotta admit, I have to admit, I'm not too educated on on who exactly was in charge of this. I think this was early Funimation, because you have to remember, in some of the early Dragon Ball stuff, I remember there was a company called Oceans, and Oceans was the original, if you watch some of the original Dragon Ball Z movies, what was it, like Tree of Might, and, what was the first Garlic Jr. movie? Dead Zone. Yeah, if you watch Dead Zone, Tree of Might, World's Strongest, I think, was another one. Some of the voice acting was slightly different because that was Oceans. Ipso facto, at some point, Funimation took over, and then in those early Funimation days, they had some of the voice actors that you would expect, but again, they still wouldn't have some of them until later on. So the voice acting here, especially for Goku, from what I understand, has been a bit of a talking point. So the one that I like, that most people remember, is Stephanie Nadolny. She is the classic young Goku voice actor who did a lot of the TV show, or the anime, I should say. And then in this movie, and I should also say that they also used a different voice actor in Curse of the Blood Rubies. So they've technically had, at this point, they were using 3 different voice actors until they were using 2, and then they moved on to Stephanie Nadaldi, who would become the permanent, fit in. She is the Goku, young Goku character. So it looks like in the original Curse of the Blood Rubies, they used a Saffron Henderson, which is interesting that I didn't even think about covering that in the Curse of the Blood Rubies review. So forgive me. I think I noticed it, but for some reason it just didn't cross my mind about talking about it. But yeah, and then in this one, so there was a Saffron Henderson in Curse of the Blood Rubies, a Kaylee Delgadillo in this one, and then of course you've got the Stephanie Nadolny, who is the legacy Goku. She's been doing it forever. I should say on my behalf, Kaylee Delgadillo in this one, I didn't think was that bad. I looked in some of the Reddit and some older posts of people talking about Sleeping Princess and Devil's Castle, and there's a lot of hate and kind of dislike to her rendition or representation of Goku in the voice here, and I don't think it's that bad. It's different, definitely different, but I don't know. To me, it wasn't that bad. I actually kind of like that. That this early on in some of the Dragon Ball creative processes, that you can kind of see them kind of rotate and try and find their ideal voice or ideal characters. Yeah, again, I kind of like seeing see I don't know what's the word. I like seeing the bread bake. I don't know how the meat is made. I don't know, but it's interesting. I don't think Kaylee did as bad of a job. It's actually kind of sad because I actually looked at her works over the years, and I don't think she went on to do much more. I wonder if she was like had a bad experience, I guess I should say. But yeah, Kaylee, I think you did a great job. I think Stephanie Nadolny's done a great job, of course, and Saffron Henderson in the first one, I didn't think she did a great job as well. So I commend them for being involved early on in some of my favorite anime work. So let's see. So that was just about it. That's everything I really wanted to touch on. Really a fun time, a fun movie. I didn't think. I thought this one was a step up from Curse of the Blood Rubies. Yeah. So what did you? I would love to know down in the comments. What did you guys think of Sleeping Princess and Devil's Castle? Did you guys like the Count Lucifer? I honestly didn't think he played that huge of a role, even though, you know, you kind of see him in sections and in tiny little scenes. The Gastel character, honestly, is probably the best villain in this one. There's a really cool fight scene and kind of air scene with Goku and Krillin that I rather enjoyed. So, alright guys, I'm going to leave it at that. I actually have another video I'm going to try and work on today. But yeah, this is a movie I've been wanting to talk about. A fun time. You can definitely expect I'm going to continue to go on through the rest of the Dragon Ball movies. Now that I'm done with the show, done with anime, we've done videos on that. I should say go check out any of my anime saga reviews. I talk about literally everyone there. But yeah, that's it. I just want to say thank you so much for watching, guys. Hopefully you guys love Dragon Ball. Hopefully you love these videos. Rest in peace, Akira Toriyama. If you guys don't know, recently he passed away. I don't know if at this point I've talked about that. I know in the next Dragon Ball Z video I've been working on, which whenever I'm able to get back to that, I know I definitely put in a nice little a mention about it there. So check that out whenever I'm able to put it out. Hopefully I'll be able to work on that very soon. So anyways, thank you so much for watching, guys. I love you. And enjoy Dragon Ball. We all love Dragon Ball. Everybody loves Dragon Ball. Bye, everybody.